A hammer is a very loud way to be silent. For 50 years, I used that sound to drown out the things I didn't want to hear. I've murdered thousands of Sundays with the rhythmic thud of driving nails into cedar and oak. Every time the steel hit the wood, I told myself I was building a future. I told myself that the sweat on my brow was the currency of love. But I was wrong. I was just an architect of my own isolation, meticulously crafting a prison made of the finest hardwood. Look at these hands. They're gnarled, scarred, and strong enough to frame a cathedral. Yet, they were too weak to hold my wife when she needed a husband, not a provider. I'm 78 years old, and I've realized that a master builder who can't keep his own family under one roof isn't a master of anything. It started in 1976 with the smell of fresh-cut pine and the lie of financial freedom. I was 28, full of fire, thinking that every hour away from home was a brick in the foundation of our happiness. Mary would stand at the window, holding our baby, waving as my truck pulled out before sunrise. I told myself I was a warrior, a provider, a hero. I didn't realize that the life advice I was following was a trap. I was perfecting the joints of a stranger's staircase while the stairs in my own home were rotting from neglect. I was chasing a phantom, a millionaire mindset, while the real gold was already sitting in my life. By 40, my name was on every high-end construction site in the valley. I was the guy who built for eternity. I remember walking through a luxury mansion I just finished, feeling like a king. The cedar smelled like victory. But when I got home, the air was different. It smelled like cold dinners and unspoken questions. My son, David, would try to show me a drawing, and I'd say, "Not now, son. Daddy's busy building our legacy." I was so blinded by the American dream that I couldn't see I was trade-offing his childhood for a bigger zip code. I was building houses for people who didn't care about me, while the people who loved me were living in a museum of my absence. There's a specific kind of success that feels like a heavy chain. Every promotion, every bigger contract meant another layer of wood between me and my soul. I remember building a nursery for a client who spared no expense. Hand-carved crib, silk-lined walls. I spent 3 weeks in that room, making it perfect. When I finished, I went home and realized I'd missed my own son's first steps because I was obsessed with the finish on a stranger's floor. I sat in my truck and cried, but then the phone rang with another big score, and I wiped my eyes and drove toward the money. That's the honor. I used to think my brown canvas apron was a badge of honor. Now, I see it was a shroud. I spent more time touching wood than I did touching my wife's hand. Mary stopped asking when I'd be home. That silence. It's louder than any circular saw. It's a parenting fail that you don't feel until the house is quiet. I'd walk in at 10 p.m., smelling of sweat and sawdust, and she'd already be asleep. I'd look at her in the moonlight and feel like a stranger in a bed I'd built with my own hands. I was providing everything money could buy, but I was failing at the only thing that was free, my presence. Look at this broken wooden bird on my bench. It's not just wood, it's a promise I broke 30 years ago. David asked me to help him fix it. He'd waited all Saturday, but a priority project came up. I told him tomorrow. That tomorrow turned into a decade. The wood is dry now, cracked, just like our relationship. This is real-life wisdom for you. The things you don't fix today don't just stay broken, they rot. I can repair a structural beam in a skyscraper, But I can't put the wings back on this bird, and I can't put the dad back into my son's voice. He learned to fly without me, and that's a personal growth story that ends in... At 55, I built our masterpiece, a mansion on the hill, vaulted ceilings, hand-picked marble, a workshop that was the envy of the state. I thought, finally, I've made it. I threw a party. Hundreds of people came to see the master builder's palace. But as I stood in the center of that room, I realized I didn't know a single person there. My kids were in the corner, looking at me like I was a celebrity they'd seen on TV, but didn't actually know. I had built a success story, but the house was empty of love. It was a monument to a man. Then came the life lesson that broke me, my daughter's wedding day. I spent $50,000 on the venue. I built the arch she stood under. It was the finest oak, sanded to a mirror finish. But when it came time for the father-daughter dance, she didn't look at me. She looked past me. I realized I was just the bank account that funded her life, not the man who guided it. I felt like a fraud in my expensive suit. I had provided the financial security, but I had left her emotionally bankrupt. I walked her down the aisle. If you're watching this, thinking you've got time, you're wrong. Time is the only wood you can't replace once you've cut it wrong. I see you hustling. I see you chasing the American dream like a dog after a car. But what happens when you catch it? I caught it. I have the mansion, the trucks, the awards, and I'm sitting here in this workshop talking to a camera because my house is too quiet to bear. This is truth bomb territory. Your family doesn't want your legacy if it comes at the cost of your now. They want the man, not the master builder. I remember Mary's last few years. We lived in that big house like two ghosts. I'd try to talk, but I had no practice. I'd spent 40 years talking to blueprints and contractors. I didn't know how to talk to a woman's heart. I'd ask about the weather or the house, and she'd just smile sadly. She loved me, but I had trained her to live without me. That's the ultimate relationship advice. If you teach someone to be strong without you, don't be surprised when they don't need you anymore. I had become a master builder of my own loneliness, and the walls were 10 feet thick. My son David is a carpenter too now, but he's different. He works 30 hours a week. He drives an old truck. He lives in a small house I would have called a starter home. I tried to tell him once, David, with your talent, you could be a millionaire in 5 years. He looked me right in the eye, those same eyes I have, and said, Dad, I'd rather be a father for 50 years than a millionaire for 5. I'm not building your mistakes. That was the most painful parenting moment of my life. He was right. He's richer than I'll ever. Mary passed away in the master bedroom I spent 6 months designing. The floors are Italian marble. The fireplace is hand-carved stone. It's the most beautiful room in the county, and it felt like a prison cell when she left. I sat by her bed, holding her hand, and all I could think about was the time I spent on a job site in 1992 instead of taking her to the beach. All the work-life balance articles I'd ignored came back to haunt me. I had all the money in the world to save her, but I didn't have a single minute of the time I'd already wasted. This is my final warning to every man out there with a hammer, a laptop, or a steering wheel. Don't confuse being a provider with being a father. Your kids won't remember the brand of the truck you drove. They'll remember the nights you weren't there to tuck them in. Your wife won't remember the price of the diamond. She'll remember the nights she cried herself to sleep while you were building the future. We are all architects, but most of us are building the wrong things. We are building net worth instead of self-worth. We are building monuments to our ego and calling them, "I'm 78 years old. I have a closet full of blue plaid shirts and a shelf full of trophies. And I would burn them all to the ground for one more Saturday in 1985. I'd throw my tools into the lake. I'd sit on the floor and build Legos. I'd listen to the stories that didn't matter, which I now know were the only things that did." This is the truth about success. It's a very expensive way to be poor. If you look in your rearview mirror and all you see is empty space where your family... Look at my face. These wrinkles aren't from the sun. They're from the weight of regret. I built 1,000 houses, but I'm a homeless man in my own heart. Every room in this mansion reminds me of what wasn't there. The laughter, the dinners, the warmth. I built a monument to my failures, and I live in it every day. If you're watching this, feeling that sting in your chest, that's your soul telling you to slow down. That's your heart telling you that the career success you're chasing. Legacy isn't what you leave for people. It's what you leave in them. I left a lot for my kids: houses, money, a respected name. But I left nothing in them. I didn't leave my values, my stories, or my love. I was too busy. My son calls me Henry now because Dad is a title you earn with time, not with a checkbook. That's the most brutal life lesson I have for you. You can't buy back your position in your family's heart once you've abdicated the throne for 50 years. I'm sitting here in this workshop, surrounded by the finest tools money can buy, and they are useless. They can't fix the silence. They can't plane down the sharp edges of my loneliness. I am a master builder who forgot to build a bridge to the people who mattered. Don't be like me. Don't let the hustle culture steal your soul. Don't let the American dream turn into a nightmare of polite loneliness. Real treasure doesn't have a weight, and you can't haul it in a trailer or build it with a hammer. My final broadcast, my final transmission. If you can still hear the voices of your children, go to them. If your wife is still waiting for you to come home, go now, not tomorrow, right now. The biggest lie is that you've got time. You don't. You only have this breath, this moment. My engine's about to quit, and I want you to know 1,000,000 square feet of mansion ain't worth a single second of real love. This is Henry, the master builder of nothing. Over and out.